And meeting will be live streamed. Got it.
Hi, yep, I see it there now.
And away you go. You're up.
All right, folks.
Well, here we go.
Yeah.
Hey, good morning, Jim.
Good morning, Sam.
Hey, by the way, for those of you who don't haven't figured it out yet, Jim and I are not in the same place.
Yeah, right.
Jim's up. Where are you, Jim? Pittsburgh, right?
No, I'm in Florida.
Oh no, you're in Florida.
Yeah,
yeah. Right.
Tallahassee,
and
Florida.
I'm in
That's why
you're in Tallahassee.
A little bit of that twang in my voice, I guess.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah, and I'm in Dallas. So so that's why we use a bunch of technologies to get us here at the same time and to share screens and to do that. So anyway, so welcome to show 6 of Circle of Fits, because we all have fits with stuff that we try and do in the music world.
That's right.
And hopefully we can resolve some of them for you. Jim is going to take us through some interesting stuff with the OnSong today. So I'm just going to mute my mic and turn it over to Jim.
All right, Sam. Thank you very much for that introduction. Folks, today we're going to start talking a little bit, getting a little more into proceeding some other topics we're going to do on editing. It'll be coming up here shortly. So today we kind of wanted to take you through what's called section headers and a little principle called flow. Something I probably started using very early in OnSong when I discovered it, and it really helps out a lot. So I'm going to show you a little bit of that today. Again, some stuff on some section headers, that kind of stuff, topics and flow. So we'll dive right into it. And Sam, they should see my iPad there, right? Everybody should be able to see. I've got a song pulled up, Against the Wind.
Yeah, we see it. Oh, and
it's
interesting. You've got it black on white, or white on black.
Yeah. I want to. That's one of the things. I guess we call it a little thing that we honor with all our musicians. We don't ever discuss about how one person has their setup versus another one. We don't ever talk about, well, why you got that song in there versus this song. We all appreciate all the music and stuff we've got in here. So you're going to find a little difference between the way Sam sets his up and I set mine up. And that's the beauty of this program. There is no single way to run it. You can run it many, many ways. So here I like having the dark background with the light text, and as Sam kind of went over last time, we could change that here, but just go into this little button there. And you got the white background now. For my old eyes, I like this better.
That's so cool.
But I brought this up just to start talking about really what is known as section headers. And a section header, as you see in here, is something like this, where you see intro and a colon. And it's very important that this be formatted exactly like you see it there. The colon and then no space. In fact, I'll go ahead and go into edit here real quick just to let you guys see that. So if I put my cursor on here, you'll see it's blinking there at the colon. If I put a space in there, that's not going to be noted as a section header. And you'll see this quite often when you import songs, say from like Ultimate Guitar or a lot of different places. A lot of times when you first import the song, it's going to look kind of weird. So, and we'll get into that, a little more details of how to fix that. There's a couple of things you can do right off the bat that'll fix a lot of those things. But if the song's not appearing right, the section headers aren't being noticed right, it's because you probably have a space there after that colon. So there you see intro, verse 1. We got the chorus here, verse 2. Chorus 2, instrumental. And again, folks, I'm not trained musically. I been self-taught, which many people are, but I know that when I name my section headers, basically you have intro, you have verse, you got chorus. Some people call them refrains. It doesn't really matter. That's the key, I guess, I want to bring up here. It doesn't really matter what you call them. Just structure it. And if you're going to use verse, then use that throughout all your songs. It'll just, and you'll see with my songs, mine are a little bit more formally formatted, I guess you would call it, than some of Sam's. Sam has a lot of songs he knows real well. And there's more of a verbal or a mental cue to him when he's looking at that stuff. So again, this all goes into how you pick to set up your songs. Some songs may be formatted quite heavily, and other ones are very simply. So again, that's the beauty of this program. You can do whatever you want to do with it. And again, while hoping that we can bring in some sites to how we use it, that's part of what I learned. I'll show you a couple of things today. Sam taught me right off the bat when we got to knowing each other. And I've already started using some of his little hints, so anyway, again, it's very important that whatever section header there, it's got to be on a line by itself, the name, colon, and then no space. All right. Well, let's get back out of here. So you see that throughout the song. All right. As we scroll. And again, we're just looking for a linear type thing, right? Intro, verse, chorus, say break, solo, whatever you want to call them. Just name each one of them different. All right. So now what I want to do, let's get back here to songs. I wanted to let you know, one of the things, Sam was talking a little bit about books and sets a lot last time. I know when I first got my own song, started setting it up, books was probably one of the first things I started doing. Man, I went crazy. I basically started putting all my Gordon Lightfoot into a Gordon Lightfoot book, and then all of my Jackson Browne into a Jackson Browne book. Well, that was all nice and well, but then later discovered you don't really have to do that because here we've got, I can go to artists and sort by artists basically. So I've eventually, that's things you learn, you go on. I eventually took all those songs out of books. I've still got some, but you'll notice now my books, I've only got 3. And when I go into that right now, I've got a book where I did that easy little check mark way with the little star icon. Remember Sam was talking about in the last show? Went in there and just while I'm on that song, I can pick that flow book, and now that song's in that book. Then you can see I've got a MIDI to practice. We'll go into a little bit about MIDI stuff later, but it's the same principle here. So I've got a book that just gives me all the songs I have that have implemented the flow command. And again, this is, I may not need that specifically every day, but Sam and I were using it when I was helping him develop his course, his stand-up course. So you always need examples and things like that. So that has a lot to do. You see a lot of things in our libraries that look a little different. So I can just go to any of these songs, but let me go back here again.
So Jim, while
Yes,
you're
sir.
finding the next thing, go back to artists again, because not many people, I don't use the artists, but I'm lazy. Okay. But wow, you've got them all figured out, don't you? Here's the thing.
That's the thing. And I'm going to talk about that here in just a second.
Okay.
The reason they're in there is because I do format my songs in the kind of OnSong standard.
Right.
There's a little difference between, say, OnSong and Chord Pro, but OnSong is probably what you should start with at least. So the first line is just the name of the song. The second line is the artist. And then you start bringing in other metadata, and I'll show examples of that. But that's the reason all of my songs have a title, and every song has an artist.
Yep.
So it automatically takes that artist, whatever I put in there. Now, it may not be the actual artist. You could put Joe Blow in there, and that's what's going to show up. But that's kind of the type A things I am with my songs. I want them all to look that way. And again,
Right.
so that's a personal choice.
Yeah,
So again,
no,
that's
and
kind of neat. If you're looking, say somebody says, hey, you know this song or whatever, well, maybe you are by who? You know, let me
yep.
look it up real quick. So
Yeah. So that was kind of the point I wanted to make is that the second line of your edit is the artist. First line is the title of the song. The second
correct,
line is the artist.
correct. So if we go back, let's go back to my actually, this is just a song. In fact, this was in the mind because we were working on it at band practice the other day. If I go in up, you'll see there a little message came across my screen. That's just some MIDI information. Again, we'll talk about that further down the line. It's just diagnostic information for me. It lets me know what MIDI command did it just send out to my equipment. All right, we're going to go in here and edit. Okay, and there's what Sam was just referring to. There's the format of the song. Again, you see the name of the song, the author, the artist. And then I make sure that I put, and this is important, Sam's talked about this before too. The key is very important. If you don't put the key, a lot of people think it'll just figure it out. No, that doesn't happen. So if you don't know the key, we'll go into that down the road too. There's lots of sites out there that'll help you with that.
Right.
There's your tempo, beats per minute, basically, your time signature. And then there, just ignore the MIDI right now. That's we'll get into that's a MIDI global right there. Actually, which is something I learned just a few months ago that's helped me tremendously in my workflow and maintenance of all my songs with respect to MIDI. That just lets my beat buddy know that to go to the Blues One song choice there. So, and you'll see right after that, I got something in parentheses there. It says BB Blues One. And another parentheses. Well, that's one of the little hints Sam gave me there. Let me get back out of this editor for a second and show you what I'm talking about. You'll notice that's in red. That's a comment. That's an end song comment. So anything you put parentheses around. Now, the reason it's red though is because in settings, you can go in there and change that. By default, I think it's like an off gray or something like that, Sam.
Yeah,
Right?
those are called instructions in the settings.
And it's the only thing you can use really because you can add things like that onto lines with chords that normally you wouldn't be able to. If you didn't put those parentheses around there, it wouldn't know what that was. So,
right.
So again, let me get back in there. So now it's important in setting the song up with sections and headers, that kind of thing, that you then separate what's called the kind of the metadata area there with one blank line before you start your song. So you see that there I see a blank line, the intro colon, and there's where the song just starts off with a plain old G chords, strumming a bit till the singer gets ready to come in. You know how that goes. And you start. And folks, you'll see there too, I love using the bracketed chord structure, and we'll talk more about about that later. Hope to convince a lot of you to use that. As you get through your OnSong venture, you'll find it makes a whole lot of sense to do it this way.
I know it can be difficult to read sometimes as you're editing your song, but it really does make a huge difference in the mechanics of OnSong. And then notice along the bottom of his screen, the chords in the song are listed there, so you can quick pick a chord wherever the cursor is.
Exactly. Excuse me. Okay, so again, the blank line, you start your section, intro, colon, chords. All right, blank line. Now, anything between the section header and another section header is part of that section. I guess I may not have said that too well, but where you see the intro, colon, and the G chord after that, then a blank line. So that whole section called intro are those two lines there, and then the blank line. The verse 1 you'd see there, that section goes all the way down until you see chorus colon. So that's how it knows, like when Sam was talking about with your foot pedals the other day when we were going through that, you could actually use your foot pedals to page, or one of the options you can do is actually set it to advance by section, which is really cool too. And you can even highlight that section with a little background color and move that section so it's always in the middle of the page. And we'll go through all that kind of stuff when we talk about foot pedals and that kind of stuff more. So again, you see the song's got all these headers. It's very structured that way. And the reason we do that is for, well, many reasons. Just having the song in a format that's yeah, like Sam was saying, you can't really read this as well as say chords above lyrics, but that's the thing you got to get out of your mind is don't worry about you reading it right now, because it's going to get rendered into the form that you really want. So, and that form is going to be a lot easier to do if you use bracketed chords. So enough of that. I'll get off of that soapbox. Okay, so the reason I kind of wanted to get you a little bit more involved with what we call section headers and all is because now I want to go into, here. Let's go back into my books, and I'm just going to go into, well, before I do that, I wanted to talk about one other thing and how I kind of got there. And it's and we're veering off the topic just a little here. I wanted to go into something called topics down here at toward the bottom. Topics is a really cool thing, and you'll see I've got several things in there. Basically allows you to set up a custom search, is what it really is all about. And I wanted to know right offhand, before I even put my songs into books, I want to know what songs had the flow command in them. So that's what you do. And it's this now you see up here that it's showing the flow as the, you know, basically instead of a book or a section, that's what it is, a book. It's what we've got here. So I can go to any of these songs. Take this one here, like Angel from Montgomery, a nice John Prine song. What we want to be able to do is with the flow, what it's going to allow you to do is format your sections exactly the way you want them presented, okay? That'll make sense, I think, if I show you this song. I go into this one. You can see here, again, at the very beginning, you got the name of the song, the artist, key, time, tempo, capo. Then you see this command flow, all right? Flow, colon. All those commands have to start with the name, colon, and then the parameters. And in here, the only thing to remember is you see that I've got verse 1, chorus, verse 2, verse 3. Those are all formatted the way I like them. So with flow, you can actually use it that way, but you can use a shorthand. You'll see there I got flow V1. So you basically, you can take the first character of the first word and then whatever number. So again, there's very simple. V1, comma. You can actually use a space there as a separator too, so don't worry about that. Then I see C for chorus, it's the first character. V2, chorus. V3, chorus. But you'll notice here in the song, it's structured, you'll just see verse 1, chorus, verse 2, verse 3. All right, interesting, right? Well, that's just the format of the song. I have it in the editor. So when it gets rendered, what you see, again, see there, we got verse 1 of the chorus, verse 2, verse 3. But what you get out of it, verse 1, chorus, verse 2, chorus, verse 3, chorus. All right. Perfect. Makes a whole lot of sense. So now I've structured the song. And I guess what I want to mention here, there was a very good question that was asked in the forum. I keep calling forums, I'm showing my age here. In the Facebook group, the OnSong community, there was someone was asking, they wanted to, they were going to be performing a song, and someone asked them, well, we wanted say instead of just doing first, second, third verse, we just want you to do first, second verse, or we want to leave out the second verse, put the third in. Let's make it a little more complicated. Well, if you had to go into the editor and change that song completely, it may take you a few minutes to do that on set. To go in and do that with flow is very, very simple. And the example I can give for that many times is like with in the worship services. We see a lot of people use OnSong worship service, and you'll hear the pastor may say, "All right, folks, stand up. We're going to sing song, 100, and we're going to do verses 1 and 3." Well, hopefully he's told his orchestra, his pit there, we're going to do that ahead of time. But the nice thing that you can do is come in here and if you want to make a change in OnSong, as there is with many things in OnSong, there's many ways to do it. I'll show you a couple of those now. If you come up here to the headphones, you'll notice that if you got tracks, your metronome, you can change the tempo. You'll see flow here. And there's where I got the flow I've told it verse 1, chorus, verse 2, chorus, verse 3, chorus. All right. So just to make this simple edit real quick, I can go in here and make a change. Let's just put verse 2 in there in front of verse 1. If I come over here now and click, oops. Sorry. Go back there. Oops, hang on. Here. Go.
Try capital
Yeah.
V.
Sorry, Sam. Sorry, folks. Is that it? Well, that's weird. That doesn't look like it. There we go. All right. About that again. There we go. And you see, just making that one change. Now we got verse 2 at the beginning. So it's easy just to go in there and make a quick change like that. Now that's one way. Like
And by the way, that's a great example of the accuracy of the characters that you're using, right?
Yep.
Accuracy counts, right? Because a little v, lowercase v didn't cause any change. Capital V, because that's the way the word verse starts. So OnSong matches that up and says, okay, I need to put verse 2 first. Great show, Jim.
Yeah. Now then, we did topics and flow. I think the last, again, here's a couple other flows.
And you can actually, if you take one of those declarations out, it will actually not even display the verse.
Correct.
Right.
Well, let's see. Like I was telling them here, the headphone. Remember, that was one way to go in there. You can change the flow there, but you can also, just the normal way that most people use will probably just come into the editor. You change right here on the flow. So let's say we did want to take out the verse 2 and chorus, right? So now we got verse 1, chorus, verse 3, chorus. Again, here's important to hit done, not cancel.
There you go.
1 chorus, verse 2, chorus. All right.
Now do it. Now go back to your headphone. There you go. All right, and take it out in there.
Yeah.
Because that's where it actually is reading in real time. So go ahead and take your course. There you go. There you go. Yep. Scroll down.
Yep. Yep.
All gone.
All gone. Okay.
But now if you go back to the editor, I'm going to navigate you for a second. If you go back to the editor, right? Here's the point. In the editor, verse 3 is still there. So when you render the song for performance to look at it, and you've taken verse 3 out in the headphones, right, in the configuration, verse 3 will not be displayed to you. But that doesn't mean you've changed the editing of the song.
Correct.
All of the choruses and all of the verses are still there. You just don't want to see verse 3, and that's the way you're going to do the song. It's
Right. So
really,
it's much easier to change
really
one
powerful.
line there than have to go in and change a bunch of lines. It's
Right.
very,
And the other
and the key, yes, yeah, Sam's exactly right. The key there is you're not really changing the song per se. You're changing that one flow command.
right, right. So there are actually two viewers and views of the song embedded into OnSong. One of them is this edit view, and the other is this rendered view. And so you have to keep that in mind, because especially when you're using Flow, because what you see in the editor may not be what you see in the performance window, and because of that, you won't see verse 3 because of the way he's got it configured. Now, if you go back to the editor for a second, Jim, and hit the little eye up at the top. That will give you a thumbnail of what it's going to look like.
Like the rendered song.
The rendered song. And if you scroll down in that window a bit, you'll see there's no verse 3. Nope, there is a verse 3. Oh, because it's seeing the edit. It's not seeing the flow.
Yeah.
Right. The flow ends up, you see what it looks like here. The flow ends up when you look at a performance render. Right?
Yep. Awesome. Yeah, that's a nice that's another little menu item. We didn't really go into songs last time and talk about some of these items, but that's all right.
And by the way, yeah, you're right. And the other reason you can use that little I for that is because you are still finding bracketed chords hard to read. Then you can hit the little I, and it will show you exactly where those chords are lined up. Yep.
Perfect. And again, here I hit the I here at the top. This is basically all the metadata. You can actually make your changes in here if you need to. Keys, capo, tempo. You see the flow there. Any of your MIDI stuff could be there. Scenes, we'll talk about that later. All good stuff, man. So hopefully, I think that's where we're going to kind of call it today. This is the just our quick way of getting into letting you guys know about the flow command, how you can use it to format your songs quickly. Again, I gave the example of the person that asked, how do we make a change real quick at their worship service? And then it's one of the great examples. Just go into that, use the flow, go in there and make your change real quick. Bam, you're ready to go. So hopefully today that helps some of you folks. If you haven't used the flow command before, maybe you'll change some of your song. See, I've got quite a few of mine already, about 50 songs that use it. So, there's one thing I do want to bring up here at the last point that I forgot to mention, Sam, and that's when, if you go and you want to print this song, one item that you've got to be careful about is, whoops, why is it? Yeah, discard, never mind. One thing you have to worry about is there's a setting here. Let me just go into settings. I want to use there's a couple different ways we've talked about before, but export. What you want to be able to do, let's say you want to export it in OnSong format, but where is it? Oh yeah. This is the thing that Sam was talking about last time, these little icons here. You want to be, if you're only getting one song, it's because you've only picked one song. If you want all of them, you want to pick all of them. In this case, if you're viewing a song, you're just going to get one song. That's what allows you to do this. Here's where you're going to export to. And you see, I'm just going to my Dropbox. Now, what's important is right here with the little wrench, or as they say in England, the spanner. What you want is this song flow check here. You can see I check it in mine. It's always there because even if it doesn't use it, you don't use it in that song, it's not going to matter. What this will, if you don't use this, what you're going to see is the song in the format that you put it in as you edited it.
Right.
With song flow, you'll actually get it out in the format that's in the flow command. And I guess the best way, maybe I can show you that. Let me just go into, let me go
So,
out of here real quick.
Is that wrench English or metric? Do you know?
On my system, it's English.
It's Whitworth. It's Whitworth.
Yeah. Let's see. We go here real quick.
There we go. Oh,
And you'll see, here's the, which one? Yeah, Angel from Montgomery. Yeah, that's just if you have a text file. And
right.
this is what, if you don't use the, the flow, you're going to get out exactly the way it was. So the point is, if you want it formatted the correct way,
right,
use that flow, and then you'll see it's got.
That's a great example, Jim. Go back to the first one.
Here.
Make sure people understand. You are seeing verse 1, the chorus, verse 2, and verse 3. You're not seeing the chorus embedded in between each verse, but when you perform the song, when you sing the song, now go back to your next one, to the next one. You'll want the chorus in between each verse, and that's what flow can give you. It makes editing more efficient, but then it allows you to display the song the way you want to display it.
Yeah. Well, like I say, the key thing there is just to remember to use that flow check option there in the wrench.
Yep.
Because if you don't, you're going to know. It'll only take you 1 or 2 times. You'll know that hey, I need to go in there and change this. So that's just a quick tip to you guys. So if you start using flow when you print these songs out, that's what you're going to want to do. All right.
Good.
Fantastic.
Yes, sir.
Well, I think we did good today. Hopefully everybody got something out of this. Again, we're going to do these every Friday as long as we can. You guys, this will be up on the YouTube site just as fast as we can get it there.
Yeah, we'll put the link up. We'll put the link up to the YouTube. We'll put it up in the community so that you can view this through the community, or you can go to the YouTube site and see it. Great job, Jim. Thank you. That is such a powerful capability, the flow. You think of songs, like Amazing Grace, which has, 10 or 15 verses, or what's his name? Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah, which has 50 verses. If you take the time to put them all in, you're not going to sing them all. So use flow and you'll sing the most popular ones.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's what he was doing, right?
Right.
Yeah.
All right, folks.
Thank you so much.
Till next time.